my theme, if you can call it that, plays on the remark that's often heard when leadership transitions take place, and that is the comment that those are big shoes to fill. So I take you back to roughly a year ago. I was honored to be awarded the position of head at school at Country Day. Country Day is a coeducational, non-denominational independent school, 700 students in north of Toronto. Founded in 1972, it's a stable, well-respected school, now 40 years old. And for 22 of those 40 years, in other words, since forever, in everyone's hearts and minds, the school had been led by one very capable individual, and he's retiring. And then along comes me. How capable will I be? How will people react to me? And after 22 years of a particular style of leadership and management preceding my arrival, what will people think and how will they react? It's also my first position as a head of school. So how is this transition going to work? Will it work? Let's just open the bar now. It's good to imagine these types of scenarios. So in many early interactions I had with faculty and staff in the Country Day community, people on a relatively frequent basis, enough to make it the theme of my remarks, would say that after 22 years, man, did I have big shoes to fill. And thinking back on those remarks now, well, that really isn't a very reassuring thing to say to the new guy. And on top of that, during my summer of reading last year, when I put my hands on everything to do with Country Day, I happened upon the results of a 2011 CDS parent and faculty survey done during the survey for a new school head. And one of the key questions was, what characteristics would you like to see in the new head of school? And it wasn't one of those select from a drop-down version questions. It was a write-in. And people wrote a lot. They wrote paragraphs, in fact. So I'm not going to include everything. These are just the highlights. And truly, I've not made up one thing or embellished in any fashion. I've just condensed. Here is what people wanted in terms of the issues they wanted dealt with. Student retention, student recruitment, admission standards. Marketing needs to be emphasized and our brand revamped. Tuition fees need to be controlled to remain competitive. We need to modify our teaching methods to meet millennial students. We need a balance of programs across the arts, athletics, and academics. We need to maintain academic excellence. We need to differentiate learning. We need to improve the faculty culture. We need to expand technology in the classroom. We need to have effective professional development. We need expanded fundraising. We need to deepen alumni connections. We need a new strategic plan. We need to examine and revise our mission and vision. And they wanted everything to be the same, but at the same time they want it to be different. They don't want a warm-up period. They want all these things right away. And in terms of the approach to these issues, they wanted someone who could concisely define the mission, be visible, lead by example, get to know the students, develop meaningful relationships, communicate well, develop the leadership team, improve compensation, not rush to make sweeping changes. Did you see the prior list? Finally, in terms of leadership style, they wanted someone who was open-minded, outgoing, and my favorite, experienced but still fresh. Maybe not today, it's hot out there. Compassionate, a fundraiser, a communicator, a team builder, energetic, inclusive, hands-on, collegial. They need to have community spirit, be credible, be creative, have candor, be confident, give us cake every first Monday of the month. Be visible, be a visionary, be approachable, have a good sense of humor, be thoughtful, fair, and trusting. And someone actually wrote this in, just like the cake comment. What do I want in a new head of school? In short, you are looking for a superhero. Good luck. I'm no superhero. I'm just me. So somewhere along the line, when maybe the 10th or 15th person, when first meeting remarked, you've got big shoes to fill, I began to realize, and I began to very respectfully and very humbly remark back, you could be right, but I'm just filling my own shoes. You can't fill those prior shoes of those who came before you. You can't fill a superhero's shoes, although I have considered a cape and a colorful outfit. Maybe I could be cake on Monday, man. But where would I change and where would I bake all those cakes? You can't fill idealized shoes and you can't fill God's shoes, you have to be comfortable in your own skin and you have to fill your own shoes. So are you ready for that? And what prepares you, me, anyone for that? And of course, the answer, if you're going to offer any, has to be very generic, because these things have to be ideas that anyone can benefit from. So here's what I think. You need strong people in your life who will support you unfailingly. In most cases, that's your family. In my case, it's my wonderful wife, Teresa. We met in grade 11 math. We've been married for 21 years. You need someone who will be there consistently to help you through tough times and good times. And those that are really close to you, whether they're family or people you call friends, should be people of sound character and people you can trust. You need mentors, and you should be ready to listen to lots of advice. Have a good number of people of great character, on speed dial. Advice is great. When it comes from a mentor or an acquaintance, it's free, and if you don't care for it, you can quietly not follow it. Possibly that's what you'll do with my remarks here. As for free advice, as I was leaving SMU last year, a very experienced teacher imparted me with a little piece of advice that actually became part of how I filled my own shoes. In a chance meeting, a teacher named Dawn happened to say to me, as a piece of advice, whatever you do, you're going to be very busy. And I said, yeah, have you seen the list I just... you're going to want to know everyone, and you're going to want to connect with everyone, even if it's just in a small way, even if it's just in a few words, get to know everyone. There are 120 people on faculty and staff at Country Day, and so I decided I would follow that advice, and I set up meetings with every one of them, one a day. It took me about 3 or 4 months to get through. There was no agenda. I invited them to my office. Sometimes we talked for 10 minutes, sometimes we talked for much longer, and then later that day or the next, I visited their classroom and I'd sit beside some students and I'd learn a few names, and in short time I got to know everyone on staff and I got to know tons of kids. And then when I was done, just before Christmas, I called Don back in Victoria. I told him what I'd done and I thanked him for his advice. He cried. I did a little too. And then there was the challenge of connecting with the parents. We have maybe 1,000 parents. In September, we had a get to know the new head board dinner for our board in our 1880s schoolhouse that houses our junior school library. It was a great event. And after that dinner, my advancement director and I talked about how great it would be if we could invite parents to an evening like that. What a connection that would be. And I remarked back to him that if we were going to do that, we would have to invite every family. And the clock on the wall stopped ticking. And we stared at each other for a few minutes. And we decided that we would do it. So we invited every CDS parent, between 20 and 30 at a time, to a dinner at the school with my wife Teresa and my advancement director. And we held 24 Connect with the New Head dinners through this past year, every Monday. We even had cake, but only on Mondays. And by the time the year was done, I'd gained 10 pounds. And we had invited every CDS family and had sat down to dinner with almost 700 parents. That kind of connecting was very new for CDS, but that was me filling my own shoes. So just a few more things in terms of preparing yourself, things that might possibly prove helpful as you fill your own shoes. In reality, the jobs that we fill, whether it's head of school or a division director, are very complex and very unpredictable, and you do need knowledge of many, many things. It's a long, diverse list, an ever-expanding list. You're very busy. You can't really learn many of those on the job. And I found one way you can ready yourself is look for opportunities to build your set of skills across a number of schools. And if you can't switch schools, a case accreditation visit is actually a very quick but in-depth way to look at how other schools operate. Also, if you can find a position where you're affecting long-term change, or a position where you're working in a K-12 environment so that you can experience all that all the divisions have to offer, would be a good thing. And also, keep an open mind to learn from the human interactions you have with others. Leadership in any form or shape is at its heart about relationships. And I believe you'll find that characteristics like empathy, humility, passion, and becoming unflappable are critical in independent school leadership roles. But these are things I've accumulated, or I've hoped I have, as I've been filling my shoes, and you need to fill your own shoes. Take your time, don't rush things. You don't want to find yourself in a position or a school where your shoes have no hope of fitting in. You have to be patient and find fit and not force it. Leadership roles in our schools, preparing for them and serving effectively in them, there's no formula for that. There's no singular mold. You have to forge your own mold. So I wish you every success, each in your own way, as you carry out your leadership journey. Thank you very much for listening.